2025 was probably the most productive year I've had financially. If you're new here, my name is Justin. I make videos where I go through some aspects of my budgeting process. It is January 6th, and it is time to go over how last year went. So before I go over the macro level of the year, I want to kind of close out the month of December. So to do that, we'll just go back one month and we'll look at December's breakdown. As you can see, I spent just a hair over my average or my typical, which is about $3,000 a month. Mainly that's because December is when my vehicle registration is due. Also, pet medications are now a normal thing for me. So a couple new expenses, well, some new expenses, and just a routine annual bill that always comes due in December. As you can see, normally my rent is the highest expense at just under $1,900. And then everything else is pretty much in line, about $150 and less. As for income for the month, my total income in the month of December was $6,384. It was a 3-paycheck month for me, so my paycheck direct deposit was about $5,800. I received just under $30 in interest and cash back, and $574 from my GI Bill. As you can see, my expenses in total were $31.96, which meant my cash flow was about $3,200, which is a pretty good month, if I do say so myself. Much higher than my average. So now that we've got my expenses and income for December out of the way, let's go ahead and look at my financial goals. Actually, we'll go into the financial goals first. So on the screen, you'll see my 2025 financial goals. I had 5 of them. The first one was car loan payoff. This was a very important thing for me. I wanted to leave 2025 completely debt-free. My goal was to get it paid off in 2025. I think when I set this goal, I had a target of this summer that was kind of my, what I said was pie in the sky goal. And it actually ended up coming true. I believe I made my final car payment in August, the early August, like the first week of August. So I was right on track with that goal. So we checked that one off. My second goal was to amass $2,500 in emergency funds. If you don't recall, knowing that my highest priority was going to be paying off the car loan, I initially, in the beginning of the year, set aside $1,000 as a starter emergency fund, attacked my car loan, and then went back to shoveling money into my emergency fund. I absolutely crushed this goal. I not only put $2,500 in, but I ended the year just under $9,000, which for me, that's a 3-month emergency fund. Technically, I didn't reach my adjusted goal because I think partway through the year, I realized 2,500 wasn't going to be a good enough goal because I was going to smash it. I knew it. So I adjusted the goal midway through the year to have a 3-month emergency fund by the end of the year. I didn't get my final GI Bill payment until the 5th of January. So technically, I didn't receive it until 2026, which means I didn't completely have a 3-month emergency fund before the year ended. But for all intents and purposes, I really did kind of satisfy my 3-month emergency fund within a couple of days of the year ending. So in my mind, I accomplished that goal. My third goal was don't carry credit card balances. This was a goal that I put on here because I've had a lot of trouble in years past with carrying credit card balances, continuing to charge the card or all of my cards faster than I'm paying them off and getting into trouble. So I made a point to have a don't carry a credit card balance goal. That way I can hold myself accountable to managing my credit card debt and keeping it under control. And the entire year I did not carry a credit card balance. In fact, I think a lot of the months I paid off my credit cards completely and basically had a zero statement balance for most of the months in the year 2025, with the exception of a few. But I paid no interest, which is the goal, obviously. All of 2025, actually, that's a lie. Most of 2025, I think quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4, I used my rewards credit card for 95% of my spending as a debit card for the points, the reward points. And like I said, I never paid a penny of interest. So I crushed that goal as well. Goal number 4, no surprise routine bills. Similar to credit card balances getting out of control, I, in years past, have really never pre-planned for annual, semi-annual expenses that I know are going to come up and can plan them if I really wanted to. And so I made this goal to again hold myself accountable and manage my annual and non-monthly essentially bills. That way I'm not scrambling when they're due to figure out where that money's going to come from. And I can report that my car insurance, well, I pay that monthly, so that doesn't count. My renter's insurance, which is annual in November, by the time that bill came due, I had all the money I needed to pay that bill in full on time. Same thing with my vehicle registration. When December hit, I was able to pay that a couple weeks early. So no surprise routine bills. I didn't have any routine bills that surprised me. I had all of them under control, all of them pre-planned, thanks to YNAB. So far I'm 4 for 4 on my goals. And goal 5, this is a goal I didn't really track per se. But my 5th and final goal was to set $100 aside every month to my discretionary account. 2025 was the year that I wanted to prioritize me doing fun things. And in order to facilitate that, I made it a priority to put money aside in a discretionary category. That way I could go to the movies. That way I could buy things that I wanted, like computer parts or things like that. Just random things that I've wanted and never really had the money to purchase because I never planned for them. Like I said, I didn't really track whether I put $100 in each month, but the majority of the months I set aside $50 every paycheck. And for the most part, I get paid 2 paychecks a month. So I'm pretty sure I set aside at least $100 every month in discretionary. And I also set aside $50 a month or every paycheck in dining out because that was another priority for me. So technically, I'm 4 for 5 if we really want to get, nitty gritty on when I actually funded my emergency fund 3 month goal. But the way I see it, I crushed every one of these goals. So I'm super excited about that. So now that we know what my goals are, let's go ahead and look at my spending and income for the year. So for the year of 2025, my total spending was $53,704.24. Again, largest is my rent, just under 50% of my total spending for the year. And then you'll notice that the second highest was car payments at $13,656.82. That was paying off my car loan. So as you can see, my spending in terms of my car payment was in line with my goals. If we look at dining out, which is just over $1,000, that was a priority for me, and I spent a good bit of my dining out money for just that. And technology, $1,650. This, for the most part, was discretionary spending. Some things I did set aside, I think, in a technology category, but by and large, discretionary. Look for discretionary and see. Yeah, I mean, just random stuff. So, movie, game stuff, candy, which probably, I guess I should have put that in groceries, but candy for me might have been something at the time I just wanted instead of putting it for groceries. Ice cream, I mean, not a bad way to spend my discretionary stuff, but the biggest uh the biggest thing towards the end of the year was this vet vet bill stuff. That was not obviously not a planned thing. Thankfully, by the time those bills came due, I had plenty of money to cover it thanks to my emergency fund. But yeah, I mean, overall, my spending is in line with where my goals were. So I'm happy about that. Where do I want to go now? Income. So my total income for 2025 was a little over 64,000, and my total expenses were just under 54. So that had me about 10,500 in the green or the black, as some people would say. Not a bad year. I started by saying this was a very financially productive year. I'm coining it the year of savings because if I go to this toolkit report, balance over time, and I have my accounts grouped by checking account, credit card, and savings. As you can see, this gray bar down here is my credit cards. And for the most part, my balances kind of hovered around zero. Like I said, I paid things off quickly. My checking account kind of hovered around, 1,000 to 2,000, just kind of fluctuating. That happens when I'm, having my paycheck put in, my expenses paid out, basically the same account. Kind of fluctuates a little bit, but overall stays around $1,000 to $2,000. But as you can see, this green bar is my savings. I started the year January 1st with savings of $211. It's basically non-existent. And then remember, towards the middle end of January, my goal was to set aside 1,000. I actually set aside 1,300 in my emergency fund, and then kind of stayed static around 2,000 to 3,000 all year as I was stacking money and paying off my car. But what you'll notice is I paid off my car, I think early to mid August. I started August with just under $2,000 in savings. And in the last 6 months of 2025, you can see this astronomical climb in my savings with a peak in mid-November of 11,000 and then kind of a minor dip here as I kind of depleted some of my savings to pay for vet bills. But by the end of the year, I recovered with 11,300 in savings. So a really productive year in terms of putting money aside, saving for future, making it so that I have a lot more breathing room in case things happen. My future self is going to thank my current self tremendously for doing this. I'm not done. If you haven't watched my 2026 goals, go ahead and watch that. I've got a few more savings goals lined up, which will continue to increase my savings. So yeah, I'm super excited about how 2025 went. So with that, I'm going to end this video here. In the comments, let me know what you think about my year. Let me know how your year 2025 went, and I'll see you in the next video.